Hello and welcome everybody. This is Sean Ellis and I am a spiritual life coach, and also I am an author coach for women who are ready to go on their healing journey through writing and to publish their book. And so tonight I'm super excited that I am going to be doing a live video with our author Shanae Artis, and she just released her book called This Is Not My Life. It's 10 steps to overcoming fear and adversity. So while we are waiting on her to get on, I'm just going to share a little bit about who I am and what I do. And so again, my name is Sean Ellis and I'm a spiritual life coach, and I support women in expressing their truth. And how they express their truth is really begin to know themselves, see themselves, be themselves, accept themselves, honor themselves, trust themselves, and appreciate themselves. And so I do that in a group that I have founded called Being Woman, a Sacred Journey to Healing the Body, Mind, and Spirit, because I am a firm believer that whatever happens on the body level has already happened at the soul mind level and has already happened at the spirit level. And so I teach principles and practices and tools that support women in seeing themselves on all levels, body, mind, and spirit. And so when we begin to see ourselves on this level, we can begin to experience the greater joy in life. We begin to manifest experiences in a whole new way. And so I also incorporate writing into my coaching sessions. And so some of the ladies want to go on a deeper dive and again go through a healing journey, a healing process, to then write their book, write their life story, write their experience so that they can share it with the world, but first release it from their heart and clear the energy that may be stuck within them. And so tonight, Shanae was one of those women who went through the healing through writing process with us, and she has courageously gone to some deep places within herself and within her life experiences, and she's wrote a book about them, and it's called This Is Not My Life. So we're gonna go ahead and invite Shanae in. Hello Shanae, how are you, my love? I hope she can hear me. Go ahead and invite yourself in and see if we can go from there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to share it to the Facebook group, Being Woman, a Sacred Journey to Healing Body, Mind, and Spirit, and also on my personal page, which is the same name, Sean B. Ellis. So I'm going to do that now. Hi, Felicia. How are you? Felicia is also on the Healing Through Writing journey, and she is writing her book right now. She is going through the process of seeing herself and knowing herself so that she can transform herself. So that is just so excited when I can work with women who are willing to go to that deep place to see themselves, to know who they are, know what their triggers are, because if we don't know what our triggers are, then we are unable to really support ourselves in moving forward to living better, moving forward to manifesting all of the things that we say that we really, really want in life. When we have that stuck energy within us of unforgiveness, when we have stuck energy in us of anger, when we have stuck energy in us of whatever childhood trauma that had happened to us when we were 5 or 6 or 7 or 12 or 16 years old, when we are stuck in that energy, we are unable to really move forward, and we are continuously living out experiences of the 5-year-old or the 6-year-old, the 7-year-old, the 12-year-old, or the 16-year-old, until we really know what our triggers are and really get clear about the trauma and clear those things out so that we can move forward in who we were called to be and get back to the divine truth of who we are, which are powerful, powerful women. So I'm reading a note here from Shanae. I hear you, can't see the link to invite myself. So let's see how we're going to invite Shanae in. Shanae, we may not be able to do it on this Facebook page. As I was sharing with you on yesterday in the group, sometimes the Androids work Sometimes they do not. So I'm not sure if it doesn't work on the business page and it just works in groups. So let's see what we're going to do here. If it's adding you now. I see something that says adding. So I think, is that your girl?
I think we can do it on the end.
Now look at that.
Business page.
Ain't God good?
I
I mean,
know.
come
I
on,
feel like I'm
somebody.
dark over here. Let me try to switch this light up because I feel like I'm dark.
If anybody is watching
Okay.
and know me, this Facebook live stuff and trying to share it and all that, girl, let's see if I can share it.
Yeah, I'm here, girl.
Let's see if I can share it. Let's see. I'm going to share it to my timeline.
Yeah, I'm sharing it now
Okay,
too.
good. Oh, perfect. Okay, and I can share it in the group. For anybody who's watching, that group name again is Being Woman, a sacred journey of healing body, mind, and spirit. Here we go. Hey, Mallory, how you doing? Perfect. All right, you got your light together?
Can you see? Do I look clear?
I can, and I'm.
Do I look clear?
You are, and I'm using those two of those lights that you graciously shared with me. So I feel like I'm in
You
a
got them?
studio
Okay, you look
right
great.
now.
You look great.
Well, thank you. So do you. Again, thank you everybody who is tuning in to watch our girl Shanae M. Artis as she shares tonight about her book, This Is Not My Life. And so for those who are watching now with us, hey Toya, those who will watch the replay, again, I am Sean Ellis and I'm a spiritual life coach. She just held a book up. I love her cover. That is by Rebecca Paul. She's an awesome designer. I
Yes.
am a spiritual life coach and I support women on their journey of healing body, mind, and spirit. And I teach inspirational spiritual tools, principles, practices so that we can begin to see ourselves and know ourselves, and therefore we can see what our triggers are so that we can begin to transform those things in our lives and we can begin to live better. We begin to manifest that what we really want. And so, a deeper level of what I also do is support women in going through their healing through writing journey. And so, they go on a deeper path to see themselves and to know themselves and to speak about specific experiences and traumas in their lives. And they go on this courageous journey of inward seeing and knowing, but then they go on and share it with the world. And so that's what Shanae has done. So right now, I'm just going to introduce Shanae to you all just by simply saying her name because I want her to give you more information about herself, the meaty stuff, the stuff that she wants you all to know about herself. So take it away, Miss Shanae.
Hey y'all. As Sean said, thank you so much. First of all, let me just say thank you for you have been so instrumental on this journey for me. We started almost 3 years
Oh
ago,
my
and I
goodness.
backed out because I was so afraid of actually doing the work. And then when I came back, you were so gracious and you received me, and I just love that about you. That you are just such a
Oh,
you're just an inspiration, period. So thank you for
thank
even
you,
your
babe.
willingness to be a part to interview me about the book. I truly
Absolutely.
appreciate you. But I am Shanae Artis. As she said, I'm an author, I'm a beauty coach, and I'm also a speaker. I do several things. I kind of started out doing makeup artistry. I found that that allowed me to really connect with women in a different way and to help them transform the way they saw themselves, which really played into confidence,
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem, and all those kind of things. And it was really really good for me. I enjoyed it, but I found myself in a place where things were coming up in my life that I could not understand, things that I never saw and that capacity before thoughts, ideas, just feelings, and just things started to really happen in my life. And God made me take a step back from the things that I was doing to kind of get myself in order. And that's how the book really came to be. I had to go through a process of overcoming the fears and the different adversities that I had experienced in my life. And from that journey came a book, a how to for other women or men or people who have found themselves living a life of fear, living a life that was not a reflection of who they truly believed that they were, or living a life carrying the baggage and the weight from past experiences. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am. That's what I do. And I'm so excited to be here.
And as you were sharing, something really, really, really stood out to me, and that is you begin to go through things. Life began to happen.
Yeah.
Processes of life begin to happen. And that's really an indication to us, for everyone who's listening, for myself, for you. When things begin to happen in our lives, it's a demonstration. Okay, I need to pause, take a minute to see what's going on around me and why is this being created in my world. There is something that's up for healing right now. There's something up for me to learn right now, because everything in our lives is there by energetic invitation. And I say that in my Facebook group and in my coaching sessions, that whatever is within us, that's what we're attracting to create. And so when we go on the deeper level of knowing and seeing ourselves, that's when we can see, oh, okay, so that's why this experience is happening in my life, because I need to learn how to tighten up my boundaries. Or this experience is happening in my life because it's time for me to forgive and let this junk go, what I'm holding on to. So all of the things that we sometimes judge as bad or judge as it's happening to me, and life doesn't happen to us.
Or the worst thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that could ever happen. But we know that, and we can change our belief to know that all things work together for our good. And so whatever we judge as bad or whatever we judge as good, we can know that it's working together for our good. It's all for our learning, healing, and growing. And so I just really, hey, Carol, how you doing? I really want to jump into this book because, first of all, it's just an awesome.
Let me show them the cover.
First of all, it's just an awesome book. Put it up close so people can see that book, girl. Look at it. This picture on the book, y'all. I don't think the video is giving it much justice, but that photo just is really a capture of her personality. That smile and that laugh and that bigness, that's who Shanae is. That's really who she is. And so I want to get into this book. Yeah. And so she's going on a book tour, and she's going to be talking about different chapters or steps, as we call them in her book, 10 Steps to Overcoming Fear and Adversity. And so tonight, I am going to be talking about step 7. So I'm pulling that up right now so I can read exactly the title of that step. Right? So, okay. The computer wants to, all things work together for the good. So come on, computer.
Yes.
So
come on, computer. Don't play computer.
So step 7 is take personal responsibility for where you are. Now, taking responsibility is one of those principles that is sometimes challenging for us. And I say us because me included sometimes. I don't want to take responsibility for that. I just want to, play the victim here because that person did this and this is happening. So I don't want to take responsibility for it, because if I take responsibility for it, that means I'm now going to be held accountable. So sometimes I just don't want to do that in my humanness. And so that's the name of this chapter. And so I just want to dive right in. The first part of this step is stop blaming and move forward. So blaming is blaming is one of those components of being a victim, right? So blame, and he'll bring his cousin shame and not good enough and all those other little people with him. So let's talk about blaming and how do we stop just blaming and just move forward? How do we do that?
So one of the things that I realized, and I just want to say this whole process, all of the steps that I got are steps that I actually experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like aha moments that I had throughout my journey. Like, oh my gosh, I need to stop blaming the people that have hurt me in my life
Yeah.
and move forward. What I realized about it, and the way that I recognized how I did it was I had to get to a point in my life. I heard someone say, successful people don't point blame, they take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that really spoke to me because I realized that a lot of my conversations, when it came to why I didn't fulfill the dreams that I had on my life or why I felt like I was in the place that I was, a lot of the things that I said was, well, growing up, so and so didn't do this.
Yes.
Or when I was over here, this thing happened to me. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
when we're constantly in that place where we are pointing blame at other people, we are staying in a victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really, it took for that person to say that unsuccessful people blame and successful people take responsibility for me to realize that I wasn't succeeding not because of what someone else had done, but it was
Absolutely.
because I was holding on to my victim mentality and I wasn't in a position where I was ready to be responsible and say, you know what, Shanae, where you are right now is a result of the choices that you
Mm-hmm.
have made. Yes, people and the things that I have gone through in life but they have impacted choices in my life, but those choices are still choices that I made. Now, whether
Right.
I made those choices, and this is what I thought about yesterday, whether I made those choices out of just bad choices or whether it was just a lack of knowledge, it was still a choice that I made. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to take responsibility for that and either own it or get the knowledge I need to learn how to make better decisions in whatever area that, it pertains to. But it's really about getting to a point where you stop blaming people, where
Mm-hmm.
you just stop saying the stuff out of your mouth that is so and so's fault. Like
Absolutely.
stop doing that. Some of the other tips, one of the other tips that I put about the blaming part was to just recognize, because sometimes as people, we share our story because we want other people to validate that what was done to us was
Yes.
wrong. Like, some people who share their story just to get pity, like, oh, so and so did this to me. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so horrible. Why would they do that? And it's like, we don't need people to validate that somebody did something bad to us. We know that already.
Right.
What we need to do is stop having those same conversations, reminding ourselves over and over and over again of the wrong that was done. And it doesn't take away from what was done, and it doesn't mean that what was done wasn't wrong. It's just that you now, as a person, are willing to take responsibility for your current place in life and the decisions that you make moving forward.
Absolutely. I think that's just wonderful, wonderful golden nuggets because a lot of times we believe that taking responsibility for it is us relinquishing accountability for someone else. And really, what taking responsibility
Right.
means is okay, I'm going to activate my power of choice because I know that I am powerful to
Right.
recreate a better experience for myself. But if I'm continuing to hold on
Yeah.
to that victim mentality, then I'll never be able to change anything. I'll never be able to transform this situation. I'll never
Right.
be able to grow beyond it.
Right.
And so I want to just stay right here in the victim mentality or playing the victim. Just stay right here just for a moment. Hey, Aretha said facts. Yes. Felicia said that's good. Yes, yes. So I want to just
Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
So I just want to know, what are your thoughts about being the victim? Because being a victim there's benefits to it, right? So
Yeah.
what are some
Mm-hmm.
of the benefits? It's like a drug that's just a hit, okay? Some people do shoot up,
Yeah.
some people snort cocaine, some people's drug of choice is
Some
being
people
the
play
victim.
victim.
So what are the benefits that
Yeah.
we get from playing the victim?
Um, like I said, you get people to validate that what you feel. They kind of coddle you. Oh,
Yes.
that's so wrong. Give you the attention
Pat you on
of
the back.
something bad happening. Yeah, and I don't want to I don't want to make it seem like, people don't have a right to be hurt and they don't have a right to experience pain and feel that they've been mistreated and things like that. But one of the things what I'm really trying to say is we have to learn as people not to stay there,
Yes.
because yes, you may feel good with people coddling you and reaffirming that you're so hurt and it's so, what somebody did was so wrong to you. But it's also, like you said, it's stripping you of your power to choose. So you have a benefit of being coddled. You may get some attention,
Yeah.
but eventually that stuff is going to run out.
Right. And
Because
then
people going to be like, you know what,
changes,
girl,
right?
you want to be sad and crying and victim, you stay over there. I'm about to go over here and live my whole life, my best life. Okay, call me when you're ready to join me.
Because nothing is changing with you over here. I've heard the same story 10 years ago, and you're still telling this story. Like, where's the growth? So there's benefits to being a victim. You get the coddling, but the consequence of that is you don't grow and you stay stuck in where you are.
You don't grow.
You don't grow. You don't transform and evolve and really live your best life. You're really living your worst life over and over and over and over again, living that same experience. So let's move on.
And I think it's miserable.
Yeah, definitely.
Miserable
way to live. Yeah, in your past trauma and your past experiences, really. And so you share a whole lot about that in the book. So make sure you all get this book. This is Not My Life, 10 Steps to Overcoming Fear and Adversity. I'm going to post the link to get the book in the post after this video is over. Felicia said, yes, that's deep, living my worst life over and over and over again. Misery likes company. Absolutely. Yeah, blame, and like I said, brings his cousin's shame and all his friends not good enough and unlovable and woe is me and I'm unimportant and all them people that, that come, it's a little gang they got, right? That's the gang, the blame gang, the shame gang.
They just ping pong your emotions and your whole life back and forth, back and forth.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the blaming and how do we move forward from that.
Yes.
We talked about being the victim and how it has its benefits and it also has its consequences. So now let's talk about the real power player here. And that is this thing called forgiveness, which is like, boom, that's a big word, forgiveness. So I want to talk a little bit about what is forgiveness. So let's just start there. What is forgiveness?
So forgiveness is when you make a decision in your mind that although you may have the right to be upset with somebody, although you may have the right to hold something against somebody, you are consciously making a decision to no longer hold the offense that they've committed to you, on you, to you, through you, by you, on them. Like you are totally making a commitment that you are no longer going to hold it against them and you are going to free them from the everything that you're harboring in your heart toward them.
Absolutely.
And I did give a definition for it in the book. Basically, what I just said. It's when you're making a decision to no longer harbor those old hurts, pains, resentments, bitterness, frustrations, and angers against someone who has harmed you in any capacity.
Absolutely. And when we forgive, it really, well, let me just start here, is that everything is energy. I just posted about this in the Being Woman group, that everything is energy. Every material thing, this desk, this computer, this flower that's behind me, this phone that I'm currently doing the interview on, everything is energy, but also our thoughts, our emotions, our words, all of it creates this energy. And so when we're holding on to all of those emotions, the bitterness, the anger, the frustration, the disappointment, the sadness, all of those strengthening emotions that are within us, it weighs us down. It causes us to make decisions that are not healthy, possibly for our body, mind, and spirit. We begin to make choices from a place of confusion and in chaos rather than from a place of clarity and power, because that energy, we're marinating in the energy of unforgiveness. we're marinating in the energy of bitterness. And so at the soul level, the mind level, when we're marinating on that, it then causes stuff to happen at the physical level. So we get stressed out in the physical level.
Right.
We develop anxiety. Some people have heart attacks. You know, people have heart attacks because of stress or holding on to different things. So forgiveness, you have a sub chapter in this step, a sub step in here that says forgive them for you. So it ain't really all about them. Forgiveness is about you.
Them
So
at all.
yeah, so let's dive
Yes.
into that. What do you mean about it's for me and not them?
So, well, what I'm going to tell you is this story, and then I'm going to answer that question. So, there was a point where I was literally having dreams, like almost every night, of someone molesting my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my biggest fears, that someone would violate my child. I mean, it just was continuous dreams. And it got to a point where I was afraid to go to sleep some nights because I knew that I was going to have this dream again.
Wow.
And this one night, I remember it clear as day. I will never forget this. I was asleep. I had the dream. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was frustrated. I was tired. I was like, God, and I mean literally out my mouth, God, what am I supposed to do? What do I do to make this stop?
Wow.
And just as if he was sitting on the edge of my bed, I heard him say as clear as day, forgive your mother. And I just sat there stunned because I'm like, I'm telling you about these dreams that I'm having that are scaring the life out of me. I cannot sleep. I'm just worried all day when I send her to childcare, thinking that somebody's gonna do something to her, because I keep having these dreams and you're gonna tell me to forgive my, like, what does that have to do with anything?
You bringing up my
But
mom.
it wasn't until later like she ain't got nothing to do with this here dream. But it wasn't until later when I really had time to think about it and just process it that I realized that it had everything to do with it, because I was still harboring the anger and the frustrations and just of all the things that I had gone through as a child with her and with other people. I mean, but with her mostly, I was still harboring the resentment and the bitterness toward her because of that. And it was literally giving the enemy a foothold in my mind, in my life, to torment me. And he took advantage of it every time, every chance he had the opportunity to. And not only just that, I realized that my forgiveness of her was a part of my healing. Like, I needed to forgive her in order to begin healing and healing my mind, healing my spirit, healing my soul, so that I could rest. So for me, when I say forgive them for you, I'm not talking about forgive them because, they were right in what they did and that, you don't have a right to be upset or you don't have a right to feel some kind of way about whatever was done, but literally forgive them for you so that you are not creating a space and an opportunity in your life for torment, fear, worry, anxiety, for all of that stuff to be in your heart. Because when it's in your heart, it affects us.
Absolutely.
And if you think about it, I carried that bitterness and resentment for over 20 years.
Wow.
That's a long time to hold on to something about somebody. So you forgive them for you, for that purpose, number one, but also because, like you said, at the end of the day, it doesn't produce anything positive for us. And a lot of times the people that have hurt us, they know what they've done, right? And they probably more than likely have moved on, right? So we're still harboring anger and frustration. Ain't think about you at all. They like, you still mad? Get over it. Ain't think about you at all. But we're walking around carrying this stuff, and think about it. It is a 24-hour job to hold something against somebody. Like, that's work. You are literally holding something against somebody else that probably ain't even thinking about you. Like, that's too much work thinking about you. That's too much work for me at all. So it's like, you got to forgive them for you. Release all of that. Open yourself up to be free, and we do that by forgiveness. And I'm very explicit about that in the book. Listen, it ain't got nothing to do with the person, because the person you're forgiving will more than likely be the same person that they've always been if they don't desire to change. But that has nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with you.
You have a choice to make, right? And you have a life to live, and only you can live it. Only you can make the right, wise decisions for it. And so it was like an eye-opening experience to me. I'm like, I gotta forgive, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
because it'll make them feel better, but it's because it'll help me open myself up and really, really experience true healing.
Absolutely. And so I'm just going to make a point here, but I'm not going to tell this story because I want you all to really get this book. But the story that she was sharing, and she was having dreams about her daughter being molested, and she kept having that recurring dream over and over and over again. And so if she didn't come to the knowledge and the awareness to have the um, forgiving conversation with her mother and to really to release and let things go, she was creating a space for this energy, this negative energy, to pass on to her daughter. So when we hold on to unforgiveness, or we hold on to any negative emotion or feeling or experience or trauma, it affects everyone around us. And so, as I said earlier,
Yeah.
everything is energy. So even if you don't say one word, you can just think it, and your child feels it, your husband feels it, people in the house feel it when that energy is stirring in you. And so it affects everybody around you. And just as holding on to negative energy and emotions affect everyone around you, when you heal and begin to heal those things that are within you, it affects everybody around you. And so therein lies your choice. How do you want to show up in the world? Do you want to show up as someone who is healing and emitting that positive energy, or do you want to be somebody ain't nobody want to be around you because you always got this negative energy or aura about you?
Negative.
You're always carrying this
Yeah.
heavy weight with you. So then that we have a choice to make. Who do we get to show up as on today? And make that your question every single day, moment by moment. What is my life's purpose? So I just wanted to throw that little nugget in there because there's a lot to that story, but you got to get that book. So put the book back up there so they can see that cover. This is Not My Life, 10 Steps to Overcoming Fear and Adversity. So I am going to move on through this step, taking responsibility for where you are. And let's talk about expectations, because that's also one of those big words like it, like forgiveness, because we have expectations of people and we expect them to do all manners of things, and they have no earthly idea that they're supposed to be doing this stuff. And then you get all pissed off and angry at them because they ain't did the stuff because of the expectations we had held in our minds, right? So talk a little bit about that, about expectations.
So I had a friend. I have a friend. She's actually like a sister to me. I love her to life. And I had done something really good. I had a great opportunity come about, and I shared it with her, and she was like, "Oh, that's great," and kind of moved on from it. And so it upset me because I was like, she ain't gonna pull out the whistles and the bells. Like, don't she know I just did something here? Like, who is she? Like, oh, she hating. She must be hating, right? You know,
you start
how
making
we
up
get
the story, right?
Right. And I saw her, and when I saw her after this, because my mindset was like she didn't celebrate me the way that I wanted her to celebrate me, or that I thought she should. And I saw her after that, and I spoke to her, of course, but I know within myself I was a little standoffish. And she may have felt that too, but I know I felt it. And the Lord just said to me, unrealistic expectations. And I was like, you're right. You're right. Because
God,
the problem was, yeah, you're right. You know what you're talking about. The problem was because I felt like people in my life that should have supported me didn't, or they don't. I made her somebody that had to. I had this unrealistic expectation that she was going to pull out the bells and whistles and support me because I had done this great thing. And the truth is, that's not true. And who's to say that the way that she did celebrate me wasn't just her way of celebrating me, but because it didn't look like what I wanted it to look like, it wasn't good enough. And so when God showed me that, it kind of humbled me, because it's like, no, people don't have to do all of that. They don't have to go pull out the belt. Like, if they do, that's nice, but you can't expect people to go all, you know, out of the way for you. Like, be grateful that she acknowledged you did something and then move on with yourself. You know, but until he was able to show me that about me, I didn't think about it in that way. But a lot of times we do that. We have unrealistic expectations. And listen, I'm learning people are human. They don't mean to hurt us. They don't mean to, most times, they don't mean to hurt us, and they don't mean to not celebrate us. But when we have unrealistic expectations of what it should look like, people probably will never meet that, because our stuff about us is always up here. The ego comes in, you know? And unfortunately, people got their own stuff going on. You know, they have their own life. And so that was really my experience with unrealistic expectations, and just realizing that people are human. And Shanae, in my mind, it's all about me, but it's not. Like, it's not.
It's really not.
Sit down, you know? Yeah.
You really brought up a good point about that's really ego, right? And so ego has to step in. It has to cause drama, because that's really the only way it can function, because then it needs to come in and save the day. And if there's no drama, you know, it has really no place. And so that's really a great point that you bring up, the ego, and bringing that and tying that into having unrealistic expectations, because the truth of the matter is we're all on our own journey, dealing with our own stuff. The same way that we have a 7-year-old that shows up sometime, or a 5-year-old, the people out there also have their 5-year-old and their 7-year-old, that, or that 9-year-old or 10-year-old that's showing up, and, you know, in their life. And so when we become aware of that within ourselves, right, because we can only see and change ourselves, then we'll be able to recognize it in others and show more compassion, show more loving kindness, and be less judgmental when we can see it in ourselves first, and then we can become more compassionate in seeing it in others. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And so as we begin to wrap up here, I want to talk about, how do we now change our perspective? We know we talked about the blame game. We talked about the being the victim and the benefits and consequences of that. We talked about having unrealistic expectations and really forgiving other people for ourselves, so that we can move forward and we can begin to live a life that we so desire. So now all of that we know, but how do we really change our perspective to even begin the path of moving forward?
Right. So one of the things that I did, and that kind of started to open my mind up to a new way of thinking, was really the Word of God, my Bible. Just really taking the time to read it and to see, you know, the way that God designed this life thing to be. You know, I think a lot of times we operate on other people's belief sets, on what other people say, on memes on social media. You know, we kind of just embrace that and we run with it. But really taking the time to study your stuff and get an understanding of what is going on around you, how God created all of this stuff, to how he created it to operate. And then just recognizing that we don't see the world the way it really is. We see the world through foggy lenses most times, through our experiences. And so until we start to really acknowledge those experiences, and be around different group sets of people. So for instance, one of the things that I've enjoyed doing is being around seeing different people in the way they parent their children, you know, because the parenting that I know is parenting that I grew up in. And I'm not saying that it's bad or it was good. I'm just saying that's what I know. But when I can start to put myself in different positions around different kinds of people, I start to see things a little bit different. I see how different people operate in certain situations, how they respond to certain things, how they, you know, engage with one another, like really broadening my thought processes, and not just being limited to what I was raised in, to what I've always thought to be true because that's what somebody told me, but really doing my own investigation, even with my faith. You know, I grew up in a Christian home, my grandmother was a reverend, my grandfather was a deacon in a Baptist church. So I grew up going to Sunday school and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't make sense to me until I took the time to really study God's word, to learn how to have a relationship with him on my own. And that's when it really started to make sense to me. And my perspective about life, the things that I used to think, the ways that I used to act, that's when my perspective really changed. And
Mm-hmm.
then I started to get those opportunities to be in different environments and to see things a little bit differently. And honestly, being open and willing to do that and being teachable, being willing to see things
Mm-hmm.
different, to challenge, the status quo. For instance, spankings and things like that. I think spankings are appropriate at times, but I also think that some people spank their kids because they're
Mm-hmm.
mad,
Mm-hmm.
But growing up in certain households, that's just the way you discipline. You beat them
Right.
all the time. And it's like, no, I've learned that I don't do that. So yeah, just being willing to kind of do things differently for your own life, investigate and get yourself out there into different environments and
Mm-hmm.
study and read and learn for yourself, so that you can say that you truly have an understanding of what your perspective is.
Absolutely. I love it. Getting out there and exploring for yourself and not staying, stuck in, well, that's what grandmama said, or that's what mama said, or that's what Uncle Scooby said. And we're never challenging. Okay, so is that really the truth? What they said, or am I just gonna go along with it because that's just what they said? And so when we begin to
Yeah.
explore and be in different environments and just see other perspectives, we can begin to really again see ourselves. So wow, what a journey that you have had in not just writing this book, because as you were writing, you had to transport yourself sometimes back to the experience in order
Yeah.
to write through it, in order to heal through it. So I appreciate you allowing me to be on that journey with you. And also, I'll say it again, I say it probably every single day, that everything in our lives are there by energetic invitation. And you going along with this journey with me on the Healing Through Writing program is because a part of you is within me. I attracted you to me. And so as you were going through your healing process, I saw some of myself in your story. I saw some of myself in your awarenesses. So I appreciate you and just thank you and just grateful for allowing me to go on that journey with you. So Felicia said right, and
Yes. Well, thank you for taking me back, girl.
Tashi said this is good. Hey, Sybil, thank you for watching. And so,
Thank you.
as we begin to close out, I really want you to leave the audience with the reflections that are at the end of this step, because then they can go on, they can listen to the replay,
Okay.
and they can also have some hard assignments that they can do along the way before they get the book, because they are going to get the book, right? Right. Yes.
Yes, y'all gonna get this here book now. Look,
So make sure
I put
you
on my
grab your
my
pens.
North Carolina accent.
Yeah. Grab your pens, grab some paper right quick, because she's getting ready to give you some reflections for you to really look and see yourself and see if you see yourself in any of what we shared tonight. So go on and grab that pen and paper, type it into your phone like I do sometimes. I send text messages to myself all the time.
Thank
So
you.
so yes, what are these reflections, beloved?
So I'm gonna give y'all three. So the first one is a question. Well, they're all questions. For you to reflect on it. The reason why I put them here is because for me, I know a lot of times I'll read stuff that people have written, and I need to write. I need to get out what's in my mind. And also because, like you said, Sean, it's a writing to healing journey. So
Mm-hmm.
this book serves not only as the steps for you to learn how to take your own journey, but it also gives you space where you can document where you
Mm-hmm.
are and answer the questions and kind of dig a little bit deeper. So what I want to ask is, are you at a place where you are willing to do the work to forgive? Are you at a
Mm.
place where you are willing to do the work to forgive? And the reason I ask is if you're at that place is because we can't forgive unless we really desire to. Sometimes we, just like we like to be a victim, some of us get, we feel good when we're able to hold something against somebody else. So in order for you to begin that process of forgiveness, ask yourself, am I even at the place where I'm willing to do the work, knowing that it's going to be hard, to forgive whoever this person is? Okay? The second question, think about how you have lived your life as a result of adversity or trauma that you have faced, and write down the feelings, emotions, attitudes, behaviors, and relationships you're now willing to take responsibility for so you can change your life. And what I'm going to do is put these questions in the chat because I'm they're long questions. But think about how you have lived your life as a result of adversity or trauma, and write down the feelings, emotions, attitudes, behaviors, and relationships that you are now willing to take responsibility for. Because sometimes, especially as women, when we have dealt with adversities and traumas, when we have been abused or hurt or misused, we feel undervalued, unimportant, inadequate. And so we find ourselves in relationships where people are continually taking advantage of us. And so the question is, if you can identify, the question is, what relationships have you found yourself in that you are now willing to take responsibility for? Meaning, you no longer want to allow this person to be or do the things that they may have been doing or acting toward you because you now know better. And then the last one, how do you intend to take responsibility for those areas? What new strategies will you implement when dealing with your stuff? And you got to have strategy, because I could say 100 times I'm going to forgive somebody. What does that look like?
Right.
You know, Sean, that sounds like a bunch of words until I say specifically, what am I going to do? Am I going to intentionally change the way I respond when this person talks to me? Am I going to intentionally, when they say something to me, am I going to intentionally say, all right, Jesus, help me? Because you know I want to say something that ain't right, but I ain't gonna say. I mean, just as simple as that. You know, are you going to be more intentional about the way you interact with this person? Are you going to, let this person know? I had a conversation with my mother and told her about the dream. I told her I had a desire to forgive her, but it took me 2 years to actually say that I can say now that it's really probably not much that could be said or done that would make me feel some kind of way, because I've forgiven. But it took me time, and I was willing to do that work. So just make sure you put some strategies to the answers to those questions, so that you can be more effective in actually doing the work.
This is great. This is great, because when we acknowledge what it is that's within us, we acknowledge the choices that we make. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Nicole. How y'all doing? Hey, Vanessa. She says she's proud of you, Shanae. And so when we're willing to look at ourselves and see ourselves and know what choices that we've made, we begin to, acknowledgement sets us on the path of healing. And so then when we begin to write it out, we begin to see not just the story, but then we also begin to see and be able to hold ourselves accountable. When we write it out, if I said I'm getting ready to do this A, B, and C step, when somebody is pushing my boundaries or somebody is getting on my nerves, first, okay, what's in me that's allowing me to get upset right now? That's one. And then two, am I holding myself accountable to the A, B, and C steps of this strategy that I said I was going to do? So that's really the beauty of when we write this down. It really ignites our healing process. And then we'll be able to go back next month or 2 months from now, 6 months from now, when we begin to feel light and we begin to not go and set it off because somebody has triggered us. We no longer have the same triggers. And then we go back and read this and like, wow, pat myself on the back. Look at how far I've come. Because 6 months ago, I'll be cussing you out and punching you in the face. But now I'm smiling at you and telling you to have a good day, right? It's because we've taken the responsibility, and that's what this step is. Are we willing to take responsibility for where we are? Acknowledging what the issue is, acknowledging what the choices that we've made, and then how we're going to implement the strategy to move forward. So, y'all, all of that is in the book, plus 9 other steps that we didn't even talk about tonight. So that was just a fraction of step 7, but she got 10 steps, 10 full steps within this book. Y'all. Yes. So, Shanae, let them know how they can find you on social media and how they can get access to this book.
So, what I'm doing right now is I'm tagging myself in the comments, but you can find me at Shanae M. Artis. That's my business page. My personal page is Shanae Artis. And I'm going to put the link to where you can purchase a copy of the book in the description of this video. It's ShanaeArtis.com/TINML, and that is just the abbreviation of This Is Not My Life. But I'm gonna put that in the comments for you guys so you can locate it. You can just click the link. And I've also in the beginning was giving people an opportunity to get a sneak peek of the book before they purchased it. So what I'm going to do is, because I love y'all, I'm going to put the link to that in this as well. So you can go grab a sneak peek of the book, read it, check it out, and when your mouth get all wet and juicy and you realize you need more, you can just go get the whole book and
there you go.
All right? Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I want you to put that hashtag in the comment section too, because you can go and search that hashtag and you'll see all of the information that she gives about the book, the inspirational quotes. You'll get to see what city she's touring in. You'll get to see what the next virtual book tour stop is. So put that hashtag also in the comment section.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much, Felicia. She said it was an awesome talk. I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate everybody who's online now, who has watched this video, who is going to watch the replay. It is our intention that you definitely begin to see yourself and be able to transform yourself and begin your own healing journey and really discover what your life is. And if you're living your best life, or you're looking at your life and say, this ain't it. I want more for myself. And this ain't it. And so this is an opportunity for you to get it, right? So again, Shanae, thank you so much for going on the journey with me and for this interview on tonight. I really, really appreciate you. Everybody, make sure you tune in, read the comments so you can know how to get your free introduction and also how to purchase the whole doggone book, because once you read the introduction, you just gonna want it. You need it. You need these 10 steps. Yeah. Trust me.
And make sure you guys like my page. And also you can add me as a friend on Facebook so that you can see the next stops that I'm going to be having, because that'll be another opportunity for you to get a sneak peek into the book and other steps that I'm doing, because the other interviewers are going to be doing interviewing me on other steps as well. So you can have more conversation with me and learn about when I'm having my book signing event. That is going to be dope. Y'all don't want to miss that. Y'all don't want to miss that.
Awesome. And what city are you in, Shanae? Let's say that before we go.
So I'm actually in Cary, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. I'm in all three.
Yeah, so
I'm in Cary, Durham, and Raleigh, North Carolina. Yes, but I do travel. So if people are wanting to have this conversation in their groups and women's groups and book clubs and things like that, I do travel as well. So reach out to me. We can have more conversation about that too. I am open. People need to know that this is not your life.
Exactly. And just overcome fear and adversity. I mean, overcome it.
Yes.
Science laughing.
Get up, girl.
Absolutely. I appreciate everybody again for tuning in. Thank you so much. And remember that we are more than our sister's keeper. We are our sister. So everybody, I love you. I'll see you all in the group of Being Woman, the sacred journey of healing, body, mind, spirit. Talk to you soon. Bye.